The Bionic Woman ran for 3 seasons between 1976 and 1978 and turned Lindsay Wagner into one of the most iconic figures in television history. But the cast around her? Their stories after the show went in directions nobody saw coming. Here's where they ended up in 2026. Number 1, we have Richard Anderson, who played Oscar Goldman. He was 49 years old when he took on the role of the sharp and authoritative government handler who oversaw Jaime Sommers across all 58 episodes, a presence so consistent and commanding that audiences trusted him completely every single time he walked through the door. In 2026, Richard Anderson would have been 99 years old. What made his run remarkable was that he played the exact same character simultaneously on The $6 Million Man, making him one of the great connective threads across both beloved series throughout the entire 1970s. In his personal life, he was married and had 3 daughters, building a stable and devoted family life that ran comfortably alongside his decades of steady television work. He remained warmly connected to fan communities around both shows for the rest of his life, attending conventions with genuine appreciation for the audiences who never forgot him. He passed away on August 31, 2017, at 91 years old. Oscar Goldman always had a plan, and Richard Anderson always delivered. Number 2, we have Jennifer Darling, who played Peggy Callahan. She was 31 years old when she played Oscar Goldman's sharp and capable secretary across 7 episodes, the kind of supporting presence the show quietly depended on, because she brought warmth and comic timing to every scene that made the government office feel genuinely lived in and real. In 2026, Jennifer Darling is 81 years old. After The Bionic Woman, she transitioned almost entirely into voice acting and built one of the most prolific careers in that field, lending her voice to animated series and video games across 4 decades, including Transformers and Iron Man, introducing herself to entirely new generations who never saw her on screen. She was married during her working years and has spoken about building a personal life alongside a career that kept her in recording studios rather than on visible sets, a path that gave her remarkable longevity and the kind of creative freedom most on-screen actors never quite find. Peggy answered the phones, but Jennifer Darling's voice traveled everywhere. Number 3, we have Martin E. Brooks, who played Dr. Rudy Wells. He was 50 years old when he became the calm and methodical scientist responsible for Jaime Sommers' bionic reconstruction across 46 episodes. The doctor whose steady, grounded presence gave the show's more outrageous science a believable foundation, and whose quiet authority made you believe every single word he said about how her body actually worked. In 2026, Martin E. Brooks would have been 100 years old. He played Dr. Rudy Wells simultaneously on The $6 Million Man, making him and Richard Anderson the 2 great connective threads holding both beloved series together throughout their entire run, a distinction very few television actors could ever honestly claim. He was married and built a devoted family life well away from Hollywood's noise, maintaining a personal stability that clearly showed in the grounded quality of every performance he delivered across 5 decades of stage, film, and television. He remained active at fan conventions well into his later years and passed away on October 7, 2021, at 95 years old. Number 4, we have Lee Majors, who played Colonel Steve Austin. He was 37 years old when he crossed over from The $6 Million Man to appear in 6 episodes as the original Bionic hero, and his appearances alongside Lindsay Wagner sent ratings through the roof because audiences simply could not get enough of seeing the 2 of them together on screen. In 2026, Lee Majors is 86 years old. His personal life generated just as many headlines as his career during those years because he was married to Farrah Fawcett from 1973 to 1982, one of the most talked about celebrity couples of the entire decade, and their eventual divorce was front-page news everywhere. He later married actress Karen Velez in 1988, and the couple had 3 children together before parting ways, and he then married Faith Cross in 2002, a relationship that finally gave him the long and settled personal life his earlier years never quite found. Steve Austin was the original Bionic Man, but Lee Majors has had plenty of extraordinary chapters of his own. Number 5, we have Martha Scott, who played Helen Elgin. She was 61 years old when she played the warm and devoted foster mother across 6 episodes, bringing decades of genuine theatrical authority to a role that needed to feel like the emotional heartbeat of a family trying to understand and support a daughter who had become something completely extraordinary. In 2026, Martha Scott would have been 111 years old. She was already a deeply respected legend long before this show came along, having received an Academy Award nomination for Best Actress in 1940 for Our Town in the very first film role of her career. which tells you everything about the caliber of performer she was from day one. She was married to jazz musician and composer Mel Powell from 1946 until her death, a devoted partnership of over 5 decades that remained one of the quieter but most genuinely admired love stories of their entire Hollywood generation. Martha Scott passed away on May 28, 2003, at 88 years old. Helen Elgin was Jaime's anchor, and Martha Scott was a foundational pillar of American cinema. Number 6, we have Ford Rainey, who played Jim Elgin. He was 67 years old when he played Jaime's steady and quietly loving foster father across 9 episodes, a performance built entirely on warmth and authenticity that made the Elgin family feel genuinely real in the middle of a show about government-engineered superhuman abilities. And pulling that off convincingly is considerably harder than it sounds. In 2026, Ford Rainey would have been 117 years old. He had been a professional actor for well over 4 decades before the Bionic Woman came along, with credits including The Sand Pebbles alongside Steve McQueen in White Heat, building a body of work that kept him consistently respected across the entire industry throughout a remarkably long career. He was married and raised a family through his busiest working years, maintaining a stable and devoted personal life that stayed well away from Hollywood drama and gave him the groundedness that came through naturally in every believable performance he ever delivered. Ford Rainey passed away on July 15, 2005, at 96 years old. Number 7, we have John Houseman, who played Dr. Franklin. He was 73 years old when he appeared in 4 episodes as the towering authority figure whose intellectual presence alone made every scene feel more serious and more credible. A man who had spent decades reshaping American entertainment and carried every single one of those years visibly with him every time he stepped in front of a camera. In 2026, John Houseman would have been 123 years old. He co-founded the Mercury Theater alongside Orson Welles in the 1930s and won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for The Paper Chase in 1973 at 71 years old, one of the most celebrated late career performances in Hollywood history. In his personal life, he was married twice, with his second marriage to Joan Courtney lasting from 1950 until his death in 1988, a long and devoted partnership that gave him a personal foundation matching the towering professional legacy he was still actively building well into his 80s. Dr. Franklin had authority, but John Houseman had a legacy. Number 8, we have Sam Chu Jr., who played Mark Russell. He was in his late 20s when he appeared across 8 episodes as the government operative, whose recurring presence across multiple seasons gave the show a real sense of continuity and helped flesh out the world of intelligence and covert operations that Jaime Sommers was navigating week after week, making him one of the more consistent recurring faces in the supporting cast outside the main players. In 2026, Sam Chu Jr. is in his late 70s. After The Bionic Woman, he continued working in television throughout the late 1970s and into the 1980s, picking up guest appearances across various series and maintaining a connection to the industry during some of its most prolific years for television production, where he appeared in 8 episodes spanning the show's entire run from 1976 through 1978 before gradually stepping back from acting and keeping his personal life, his relationships, and his years away from Hollywood entirely out of any public record. Mark Russell moved through Jaime's world efficiently, and Sam Chu Jr. exited the spotlight just as quietly. Number 9, we have Christopher Stone, who played Chris Williams. He was 33 years old when he appeared across 5 episodes as a romantic interest in Jaime Sommers' life, a character who gave the show an emotional thread beyond all the action and government missions, and reminded audiences there was a real woman beneath all the bionic hardware who still wanted love and connection just like everyone else. In 2026, Christopher Stone would have been 83 years old. And after The Bionic Woman, his career continued with roles including Cujo in 1983, where he starred alongside actress Dee Wallace, and the two fell completely in love on that set and married, becoming one of Hollywood's most genuinely beloved couples for years. They had a daughter together and built a warm family life that their colleagues in the industry always spoke about with real admiration. Tragically, Christopher Stone passed away on August 22, 1995, at just 52 years old from a heart attack, leaving behind Dee Wallace and their family. Chris Williams gave Jaime someone to care about, and Christopher Stone gave his family absolutely everything he had. Number 10, we have Christian Jutner, who played Teddy. He was around 12 years old when he appeared in 4 episodes as Teddy, i.e. a young recurring character whose storylines gave the show some of its most genuinely warm and human moments. The kind of child role that worked because the kid playing it felt completely natural inside the world of the show, rather than like he was performing for the camera. In 2026, Christian Jutner is around 61 years old. He was a busy child actor throughout the 1970s, also appearing in Little House on the Prairie and various other beloved television productions of that era, building a recognizable presence across the decade's most popular family programming before stepping away from acting entirely as he grew older. He got married and started a family of his own in his adult years, choosing a life completely outside of Hollywood and maintaining a profile so low that very little beyond his childhood acting credits has ever been publicly documented. Teddy was one of the warmer corners of Jaime's world, and Christian Jutner quietly built his own. Number 11, we have Don Porter, who played Dr. James Courtney. He was 63 years old when he appeared in 3 episodes as Dr. James Courtney, bringing the kind of easy authority and screen presence that only comes from decades of genuine experience. A performer who knew exactly how much weight to put behind every single line without ever overplaying a moment or making any of it look like the work it actually was. In 2026, Don Porter would have been 113 years old. He had been a recognizable face on American television since the 1950s, best known for starring in Private Secretary alongside Ann Sothern and later in Gidget, building a television resume that spanned nearly 4 decades of consistent and highly respected work across some of the medium's most beloved productions. He was married and raised a family through the heart of his busiest working years, building a stable and devoted personal life that clearly contributed to the natural and trustworthy quality he brought to everything he appeared in. Don Porter passed away on February 11, 1997, at 84 years old. Number 12, we have Robbie Rist, who played Andrew. He was around 12 years old when he appeared in 3 episodes as Andrew, bringing the natural energy and developing comic instinct of a kid who had already been working professionally long enough to know how to hold his own in a scene without trying too hard or disappearing into the background. In 2026, Robbie Rist is 61 years old, and his story is one of the more genuinely interesting ones connected to this cast. He is best remembered as Cousin Oliver in The Brady Bunch, the last-minute family addition that became one of the most talked-about casting decisions in sitcom history. Beyond acting, he pursued music seriously across multiple decades, playing in bands and releasing albums as a real creative outlet that gave him an identity entirely separate from his childhood fame. In his personal life, he was married and later went through a divorce, navigating all the complicated emotional layers that come with having grown up entirely in the public eye and then rebuilding yourself from scratch once the cameras stop. Andrew had 3 episodes, but Robbie Rist built a whole second life. Number 13, we have Diane Carey, who played Arlene Hart. She was in her mid-20s when she appeared across 3 episodes as Arlene Hart, also credited under the name Diane Kavita, one of the few supporting players whose appearances actually stretched across all 3 seasons from 1976 through 1978, which speaks to how naturally she fit into the shifting world of government intrigue. The producers were building around Jaime Sommers throughout the entire run. In 2026, Diane Carey is in her mid-70s. She continued working in television through the late 1970s and into the 1980s, picking up roles across various productions and navigating the industry under 2 different screen names, a reality shared by many working actresses of that era who were building their careers and their identities at the exact same time. She appeared in 3 episodes spanning the show's complete run, and then gradually stepped away from acting, leaving very little publicly documented about her relationships, her family, or where life took her beyond the Hollywood years. Arlene moved through the show's world without drawing attention, and Diane Carey has lived exactly the same way ever since. Number 14, we have Lindsay Wagner, who played Jaime Sommers. She was just 26 years old when she became one of the most important female characters in television history, playing Jaime Sommers across all 58 episodes. A character who worked so deeply because she never felt like a superhero in disguise, but a genuine and complicated woman who happened to have extraordinary abilities and was still figuring out what to do with all of them. In 2026, Lindsay Wagner is 76 years old, and her impact on television history only grows more significant with time. She won the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Drama Series in 1977, one of the defining moments of that entire era. In her personal life, she was married 4 times, to actor Michael Brandon, Henry Kingy Jr., Lawrence Mortorf, and Brad Fowler. And here is a remarkable connection. Henry Kingy Jr. is the son of Henry Kingy, who also appears in this exact cast list as one of her own co-stars on this very show. Jaime Sommers was built to be extraordinary, and Lindsay Wagner never needed bionics to prove she already was. Number 15, we have Henry Kingi, who played Mango. He was in his early 30s when he appeared in 3 episodes as Mango during the show's final season, bringing the kind of physical presence and authenticity to the role that made complete sense given his background. And his connection to this production turned out to run considerably deeper than just those 3 episodes. In 2026, Henry Kingi is in his early 80s. He built a long and highly respected career as a stunt performer and stunt coordinator, working on major Hollywood productions across several decades and becoming one of the most trusted names in the stunt community while also picking up on-screen roles in smaller capacities throughout his career. His personal life has one genuinely remarkable footnote connected directly to this show, because his son, Henry Kingi Jr., went on to marry Lindsay Wagner herself, the star of the Bionic Woman, making father and son both permanently woven into the history of the same production in completely different and entirely unexpected ways. Mango was a small role, but Henry Kingi's connection to this show turned out to be bigger than anyone expected.